This is Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran, coming to you from the new media production studio. The lead stories today are NASA to study UFOs. The Mars helicopter has lost a major sensor. Meta is facing an addiction class action lawsuit. And the White House has set EV standards, EV charging standards. We'll talk about that and much, much more. I want to welcome you to episode 1604 of the Geek News Central podcast for Thursday, June 9th. This show is sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and listeners just like you. Great deals from GoDaddy can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. You can support this show today at geeknewscentral.com/insider. I want to give a warm welcome to all the new listeners. I want to make sure you get over to geeknewscentral.com. When you're on the website, make sure you follow or subscribe to the show. You can always join our chat room at geeknews.chat or our Discord channel. The link to that will be in our show notes. You can always contact me via email. It's real easy, geeknews@gmail.com, or on Twitter at geeknews. You can also follow me on Facebook. Partner shows are all linked at geeknewscentral.com, whether it be the new media show, the Gadget Professor of the GNC Week in Review with Scott and Kirk. Definitely check all those shows out. And, of course, our Pro Gear website as well. This show, of course, is sponsored by the longest-running continuous sponsor of a podcast. That's our good friends at GoDaddy.com. You can save lots of money by using my promo codes at GoDaddy. Everything from a 30% off new product purchase promo code to $4.99.coms for new or transferred for new customers. And the best deal going is $1.99 a month economy hosting for the first year. That includes a free domain, or $2.99 a month managed WordPress hosting for the first year, again with a free domain. Free trial GoDaddy website builder, your choice of personal, business, or business plus plans. That's a 1 month free trial. All of those promo codes can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. All these GoDaddy coupon codes are non-expiring and been verified to work. Your support of this show by using these codes allows us to do what we do, allows us to continue to pay the writers and everything that goes along with keeping the office open, keeping the insurance paid, and so forth. Share these codes with your friends, family members, people that you know. Link to the website and just lock in your discount by entering the promo code when you check out, or just click one of the codes above on the geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy site. I want to thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here at Geek News Central, and thank all of you for your continued support of the podcast. As a reminder, the studio was designed by our friends at audimute.com, AUDIMUTE.com. You get a chance, you want to do soundproofing for your office, for your business, and with everyone working from home, a lot of people working from home, this is a great opportunity for you to spice up your office, your home office. All you do is let Kevin know over there that I sent you, and you'll lock in some savings, all right? Well, it's glad to be back in the saddle here. Full schedule, regular schedule for the foreseeable future. Travel is essentially over, except I leave tomorrow morning, or tomorrow afternoon, actually, fly into Philly. I go over to Trenton, New Jersey, where I will be speaking Saturday, and then flying back to Michigan on Sunday. Then it's just, we got a break. No travel for the foreseeable future. I may do a couple weekend trips somewhere, who knows? But for now, all's good. And back to a regular full 2 shows a week schedule starting next week. But lots. I guess that's not the right way to start a sentence, but there is a lot of things happening over at Blueberry Podcasting. We've got some crazy announcements coming soon. One of them that we already just basically let loose and haven't provided all the details yet. And many of you have already been hearing the ads that have been stitched to the beginning of this show for the past few months. We're about ready to cut that loose for all of our podcasters. The programmatic advertising piece is going to be available for every Blueberry podcast hosting customer, whether they got small number of listeners or large, it really is going to open up to everyone. So we're excited about that and ready to bring that online and start putting money in podcasters' pockets. So that's what's been happening. And thanks for your patience with me for all the crazy travel that's been going on. A great lineup of content for you tonight. Kirk did a good job getting the show ready to go. Matter of fact, Kirk and I are going to try to see each other. If everything works right, maybe Saturday night, I'll be able to see him and we'll hang out and potentially have a few beers or something, but time will tell. But let's go ahead and roll right into the content tonight. And this first one was kind of interesting to me, that when it said that NASA plans to study unidentified objects in the sky. And when you think about that a little bit, NASA already has some data. They've got video from not only shuttle flights, but from some Saturn flights as well, moon flights. They had, there's always been stories about things that the astronauts seen. But the agency is assembling a study team to observe UFOs, now known as unidentified aerial phenomena. We're going to keep calling them UFOs here. Well, it may be tempting to think of UFOs as stuff of sci-fi and conspiracy theories. NASA announced some states right off the bat, quote unquote, there's no evidence of UAPs being extraterrestrial. Well, okay. So the focus of the mission appears on gathering data and furthering scientific understanding of UFOs. And they say there's a practical reason why UFOs, no matter the origin, can pose a threat to flight safety and national security, as military officials have noted. So I'm sure they're going to come up with some swamp gas type of explanations to what they're seeing. But we'll see. We'll see what they say, or what this is. Because if it's not us, and it's not the Russians, it's definitely not the Chinese, especially in all these years. So we will see. But upon the study's conclusion, NASA promised to make both its findings and all collected data public. All of NASA's data is available to the public. We take that obligation seriously. Do you really believe that? We make it easily accessible for anyone to see our study, they said in a statement. Okay. It's not classified until it's classified. That's just kind of how it works. You get a piece of evidence of something, you go, that should be classified, and all it takes is one knucklehead to stamp a sticker on there, and the next thing you know, it's not available for the next 50 years. So I don't believe a single thing when they say they're going to release everything. They're going to release everything. It does not end up being classified. Let's be kind of frank about that. And the aerospace program is full of people at NASA that hold security clearances. Why? Because there is national assets that are in space that they have to monitor and coordinate and do all kinds of stuff with. You can absolutely guarantee that they have their special rooms, their special comparted information facility, a SCIF. Can't talk. So you just know it. So when they say they're going to make everything public, yeah, baha. Hey, Toby, thanks for checking in on the show. Appreciate it. So what says you? What says you about what NASA is about to do? And AKA releasing UFO info. I think they got a little bit already that they probably should release, don't you think? I think so. So time will tell where this goes. The Mars helicopter Ingenuity has a dead sensor, but its team aims to keep flying. Their handlers are prepared for the scenario. And what appears to have happened is that as temperatures have decreased over the past several weeks, operators at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, in Southern California, began putting Ingenuity to sleep every night as a way of protecting its systems from the harsh conditions. Even so, extreme fluctuations between day and night temperatures have caused stress on Ingenuity's components, and recent diagnosis revealed a failure in the vehicle's inclinometer. One of its navigation sensors, mission team members announced on June 6th. They say we're going to still be able to fly, we're still going to be able to go, but it isn't going to know if it's upside down or the angle or any of that stuff. So I'm sure this is going to be very interesting, but I'm sure they're flying one now, probably a prototype without it, to see how it does. Meta, parent company Facebook and Instagram, is facing 8 lawsuits filed in courthouses across the United States over the last week that allege that excessive exposure to platforms, including Facebook and Instagram, has led to attempted or actual suicides, eating disorders, and sleeplessness, among other issues. More specifically, the lawsuits claim that the company built algorithms into the platform that lure young people into destructive addiction. One of the new suits filed by Naomi Charles, a 22-year-old woman who says she started using Meta when she was a minor and that her addiction led to her attempted suicide and other suffering. Naomi, like others, is seeking monetary damages to compensate for mental anguish, loss of enjoyment of life, and costs of hospitalization and medical bills. So, the complaints were filed in federal court in Texas, Tennessee, Colorado, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, and Missouri. So they've also reported a separate case has been filed in the Northern District of California, which is filed on behalf of a lady by the name of Alexis, who was able to create her first Instagram at the age of 11 without her parents' knowledge and in violation of the platform's minimum age requirement of 13. So we'll see where this leads, but this is written by one of our team writers, Jen, here at Geek News Central. Definitely check it out. This is an article over on geeknewscentral.com. The White House is proposing standards for national EV charging network. Chargers might, aka might, be more reliable and easier to use. Well, number one, they have to have a standard plug, the universal plug. They have to be able to charge at 150 kilowatts or higher using the CCS plug. The chargers would have to be functional at least 97% of the time. They'd have to have be able to charge 4 cars at one time. And there would be a common pay system without a membership. He's using the NEVI to help states build 500,000 chargers by 2030 and hopes the program will spur EV adoption to the point where 50% of new vehicle sales are electric by 2030. The standard could play a key role in this, so we'll see. Now, I saw something interesting yesterday. I saw there's a very limited number of chargers in this town. It's only 1 or 2. And I saw 3 vehicles waiting to get charged at one charging station. And people just hanging out outside their car because here in rural America, there is a very lack of chargers. So I'm sure it's people that have come on vacation and need to charge the vehicle and can't. So I guess standing around for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 hours waiting to get charged is probably better than paying $5.19 a gallon for gasoline, or actually $5.21 this afternoon. So what say you? What do you think? Is there enough chargers in the town that you live in? Do you have an electric vehicle? Are you able to charge it reliably when you travel? I know in Hawaii, the chargers that were available on like Home Depot and places like that often didn't work. So I understand the situation with the chargers is they're just like, public telephones. The cables get busted, they get overused, and they break. And then companies are not that motivated to get them fixed up. So time will tell where this leads. Another article written by one of our team writers, Jen, Xbox gaming on Samsung Smart TV, no console required. Xbox Corporate Vice President, Gaming Experience and Platforms, Ashley Machizik, made an announcement about Xbox gaming on your Samsung Smart TV. You can play games without requiring a console from the announcement. Our mission at Xbox is to bring the joy and community of gaming to everyone on the planet. We are committed to achieving the vision by delivering great games and services enabling more people to play than ever before. That's why we created Xbox Game Pass and continue expanding cloud gaming to new devices so that we can open the way people can play across the devices they already own: PCs, consoles, mobile, tablet devices, and now smart TVs. So if you're getting a new Samsung 22 smart TV, you'll now have more than one way to play a game in your house. If you're new to gaming, this is an easy way to get into the fun, according to Xbox, with a new Samsung TV. It doesn't say anything about any of the older Samsung TVs being able to do this, but time will tell. I don't know. I'm still not a gaming fan. I just don't game. I don't have time to game. I know some of you spend an incredible amount of time gaming, but it's just not my thing. Now, in the weird and weirder and weirder department, scientists have crafted living skin. Listen to this. Scientists have crafted living skin for robots made of human cells. And for those of you that are watching live, I got a picture here, and a robotic finger covered with living human skin self-heals after researchers covered its wound with a collagen. Yes, you heard that correctly. And it's very eerily looks kind of like a finger. So Japanese researchers covered a robot finger with a self-healing pliable sheet made of human skin cells. Helping robots resemble humans could improve their integration with our society. And the team's going to focus on refining their prototype to make it more sophisticated and translatable to real-world robots. So it's very, very curious. So the robot finger was covered with this, and it's, it kind of looks like a prosthetic finger for sure. And it's not using silicone or anything like that. So this is a bit of a weird. Every picture that I see in this is just a little bit on the creepy side. So the link will be up in the show notes. Definitely check it out. It's an article over on CNET. Of course, again, the link will be in the show notes. Microsoft is committing to ban non-competes and increase pay transparency in the United States. They are making this effort with 4 broad commitments to U.S.-based employees. So, number 1, they're going to want to empower employee mobility. Well, they have to. Fostering a safe space for concerns. Increasing pay transparency. And conducting a civil rights audit. And this is part of their new employee workforce initiative aimed at creating a more transparent workplace culture, including the banning of non-compete clauses in contracts and a commitment to improve pay transparency. So this is only for the United States, not outside of the United States. And they want to have this all completed in the 2023 financial year, to do a report and have follow-on actions to be published soon after. And so Microsoft is trying to do a listen-first approach to employee well-being. So very, very curious what they're doing here. What say you? geeknews@gmail.com. A Facebook user can get caught buying or selling guns on the platform up to 10 times in some cases before finally getting kicked off, a report says. I have never been anywhere on Facebook and seen someone have a gun for sale. I've never seen it. Have you? Or is there like private groups, or what's that going on? The tech giant says nearly 90% of people who violate the policy don't get more than 2 strikes. The ease of buying a gun in the United States, of course, is under heightened attention again. And Facebook banned private gun sales in 2016, but allowed buyers and sellers on its platform 10 strikes. Facebook banned private gun sales in 2016. So very interesting here. Now, what they do is most initial violations are met with 3 days, 7 days, 30-day restrictions before they get kicked off. And Facebook said they may remove an account after the fifth strike, depending on the severity and frequency of the violation. So don't be selling your guns on Facebook. Apple retail workers in New York switch unions. The Grand Central Store will file under the Communication Workers of America instead of Workers United. So in the press release, both unions framed the move as a positive step towards consolidating worker power across the country. CW has a national plan that will lead to density and collective power for Apple retail workers. It is counterproductive for unions to go after hot shops to the detriment of the collective good of the campaign. Okay, I don't even know what that means. Apple has already hired anti-union lawyers and released a video where Vice President People in retail actively discourage workers from organizing. And the group has already filed an unfair labor practice charge against Apple for holding captive audience meetings in connection with an Atlanta union drive. In April, the National Labor Relations Board ruled that such tactics are illegal. So more unionization going on in Apple stores. Apple rumors point to a 15-inch MacBook Air, a 12-inch laptop, and a 14-inch iPad Pro. If supply chains holds up, it could have a slew of new M2-equipped devices on the way. And, of course, it's been a few days since Apple introduced a new generation of its custom chips, family with the M2, and a round of updated laptops. Now, I missed seeing the WWDC keynote, but there is some sources that said that updated 14, 16, and M2-based MacBook Pros could ship at the end of the year or in 2023. So we'll see where this goes. Excuse me. And the M1 series MacBook Pros are pretty nice. And but not everyone can afford a MacBook Pro. So a lot of people are buying the Airs, which I heard are pretty nice as well. Meta is making some changes. They've announced a whole slew of delays to their VR headset and a whole other things. One of them they've said is they're going to stop making Portal for consumers. Now, I guess Portal was some sort of a device that allowed people to have dedicated video calling stations. And they also supported apps for activities like listening music on Spotify and streaming videos on the Food Network. So they've stopped doing that. That $349 smart display is now terminated. They've got 4 products that they're terminating, all the way from $99 to $349. Polestar, the electric vehicle company, begins delivery of 65,000 rental vehicles for Hertz. When I ran my Hertz rental agreement to rent a car to drive from Philly to Trenton, the cost of EVs to rent was off the chart. It was like wow expensive to rent. I was pretty shocked how much they were the first 2 options in the rental thing. I was like, no, I'm not spending that much money. A 2-day rental out of Philly was about $160 for a midsize, and the electric vehicles were twice that much. So not at all inexpensive, but they got to pay for those cars somehow, and then charging a premium price for the opportunity to drive one. Now, it would be a good way to get an experience. If you've never drove an EV, it's a good way to go drive one. And I think that Hertz is going to have the Polestar and Teslas available for you to drive. Maybe a nice 1-day rental opportunity to check a vehicle out. Intel is freezing hiring for PC chip teams, cites macroeconomic uncertainty. So an internal memo obtained by Reuters, Intel told employees all hiring and job requisitions in the client computing group were on hold for at least 2 weeks. During that time, the chipmaker will reportedly be reevaluating its priorities with increased focus and prioritization or spending to help us weather macroeconomic uncertainty. The client's computing group, which designs end-user hardware, is Intel's largest by sales, generating $9.3 billion of $18.4 billion Intel made last quarter. Displays placed at the top, Q1's takings were still down 13% compared to the same time in 2021. The CEO told employees on Tuesday that outside the CCG, Intel was slowing hiring, but still planned to bring 23,000 new people on board in the next 90 days. The company also said existing job offers would also be honored, unlike some other tech firms that are canceling job offers. So, Intel's been having some trouble. Stock's down 28% in the last 12 months. Intel's been dethroned by Samsung as the most profitable chip maker. The hiring freeze couldn't come at a much worse time. Just days ago, Apple unveiled the M2, kicking off a new generation of its in-house chips, which have already been a smashing success for Apple. So we'll see. Their foundry work that they're trying to get up and running and provide chips to the U.S. marketplace that are now being built in China, that needs to get moving much, much quicker. Twitter's new tweet reporting tool are now available to everyone. The company says actionable reports have increased significantly since it began testing the new process. All you got to do is they've got ability to click on a tweet, and you can follow, add or remove from lists, mute, block, or report. That's pretty much the process. They have to identify the specific rule they believe in broken. The process was confusing for those. They've tried to make it a lot easier. They start the process by asking people what happened rather than prompting them to guess which rule may have been broken. So here we go. Alibaba's been sued for selling a 3D printer that overheated, caught fire, and killed a young man. The parents claim the Chinese retailer is liable for their son's tragic death. Hoi Kong Yu and Janice Yu, parents of Calvin Yu, claim their son purchased a defective Tronky X5SA 24-volt 3D printer from Alibaba's website, AliExpress.com. Disaster struck 6 months later. The device was plugged into an electric power strip and overheated, causing a fire to erupt in his home. It was alleged in court documents filed in San Francisco Superior Court. He died a day later. Smoke detectors, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're testing them. Make sure they work. So we'll see. This is an interesting lawsuit in that they're suing the sales team and partially subsuing the manufacturer as well. Defendants knew, according to the lawsuit, the printer shipped would be used without inspection for defects by ordinary customers. And they represented the device could safely be used and would fit for ordinary purposes for which it was purchased. So we'll see where this one goes. The federal government's Tesla autopilot investigation is moving into a new phase. It's upgrading it to an engineering analysis, which really precedes a recall. The next phase involving additional tests and crash analysis to explore the degree to which autopilot and associated Tesla systems may exacerbate human factors or behavioral safety risks by undermining the effectiveness of driver supervision. The NHTSA said a document posted on its website Thursday. They are also expanding the number of Tesla vehicles that could be affected from 765,000 to 830,000. The probe covers Tesla Model S, X, 3, and Y. The vehicles that were released from 2014 through 2021. The agency is looking into 16 crashes in which Tesla owners using autopilot crashed into stationary emergency vehicles, resulting in 15 injuries and 1 fatality. Most of these incidents took place after dark, with the software ignoring scene control measures, including warning lights, flares, cones, and an illuminated arrow board. So they're also looking at other automakers regarding their level 2 driver assist system. So sounds like they're stepping it up. Not surprising. We're going to see more of these until these vehicles get fully refined and are able to truly drive at the level they're supposed to. Apple's also gotten a lawsuit over Meltdown Inspector dismissed. So they've gotten their lawsuit over Meltdown Inspector dismissed. Judge finds security is not a central feature of iDevices. The lawsuit was initially filed in 2018, 6 days after the Register revealed The Intel CPU architecture vulnerabilities that would later come to be known as Meltdown Inspector and would affect ARM and AMD chips, among others, to varying degrees. The charges that the ARM-based Apple processors and Cupertino's devices at the time suffered from a design effect that exposed sensitive data. The customers paid more for their iDevices than they were worth because Apple knowingly omitted the defect. So, anyway, been dismissed. Hitting a Red Bull here. YouTube TV's added a highly requested feature. 5.1 surround sound is finally available on all 3 major streaming platforms, but there's a catch. Not all channels that YouTube TV has supports 5.1. So they may have enabled it, but it may not be available on some channels. So we'll see. The latest announcement means you'll be able to watch content from YouTube TV on your streaming device. Again, you'll need, of course, a compatible speaker system as well. And you have to have it set up. All right. Twitter shareholders to vote on Elon Musk's acquisition. Twitter's reportedly thrown its $44 billion buyout by Elon Musk to a shareholder vote, which could take place in late July or early August. The move follows reiterations by Musk's camp that he's prepared to walk away from the deal if the social media network fails to provide accurate information on a number of fake accounts. That would mean taking a hit from the termination fee, but in an attempt to break the stalemate, Twitter's agreed to share even more data with him, including that which it sells to social media monitoring companies as part of its licensing business. It's giving this data to Musk for free, perhaps as soon as this week. This includes what has been called a fire hose, the massive stream of data compromising more than 500 million tweets posted per day, as described by the Washington Post, which comprises not only a real-time record of tweets, but the devices they tweet from, as well as information about the accounts that tweet. Private details are not made public on Twitter, such as IP addresses are not included in the data set. Musk's team insists that spam about activity on a platform which could affect Twitter's profitability cannot be fully understood without access to the fire hose. He believes the company is actively resisting and thwarting his information rights. He says this is a clear material breach of Twitter's obligations under the merger agreement, and Mr. Musk reserves all rights resulting thereof, including his right not to consummate the transaction and his right to terminate the merger agreement. So we'll see where this goes. I still think it's going to close. I think he's just posturing. You remember I love the XPS 13 devices, right, from Dell? Well, Dell has unveiled a new XPS 13 with the Alder Lake CPU for your Windows users. Best hedge against the slowing PC market. They've taken some design tips from Apple. It's got an aluminum case. It's got a variety of models, including a i7 processor. They've been able to kick it up a few more notches as well with some additional models. No OLED screen, though, but it's available now starting at $999 with a Windows 11 machine, while the XPS 13 Developer Edition with Ubuntu 20.04 starts at $949. Next up, a little bit of space news. 5 planets will line up in the sky in June, and here's how to see it. In June, we'll be able to see Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn in that order for the first time since December 2004. Well, it's common to see a conjunction of 3 planets close together. Seeing 5 is rare. The planets are lining up in their natural order from the sun, which is also remarkable, says the Science magazine. The so-called naked eye planets were visible beginning June 3rd, but on June 24th, they may be even easier. So there's a good map here on where to look in the sky, but apparently June 24th, the viewing will be optimal. Even if the distance between Mercury and Saturn increases, it's getting easier to spot Mercury, so it's getting progressively easier. So I was able to see, matter of fact, I was driving, and I actually saw what I thought was the planet the other night in between some clouds. It looked pretty amazing. But if you have a telescope, great time to break it out. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy still talks to Jeff Bezos all the time about the business. Well, I'm not surprised. I'm sure he's on the phone with the guy a few days a week. He says Jeff Bezos is still focused on Amazon despite stepping down. And we still talk all the time. It's very useful for me to be able to seek his counsel. He did the job so long. He's always made himself available. He didn't go into detail about what elements of Amazon business he discusses with Bezos. But when Bezos moved to the role of executive chair, he told employees in a letter he would stay engaged in important Amazon initiatives. Well, considering how much stock he owns and that the stock is down 29%, he still remains the world's second richest man, even post-divorce. Tesla is accusing civil rights agency of unlawfully suing for racial discrimination. Tesla has accused the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing of failing to conduct proper investigation before it sued Tesla for racial biases at its assembly plant, according to a petition filed Wednesday. On Wednesday, California Supreme Court Judge Aurelio Grillo said staying the lawsuit would be inappropriate. Tesla's petition with OAL a day before it was officially filed. However, according to court filings, Grillo did agree to set a hearing on August 23rd for a demurrer motion or a motion to dismiss. So we'll see where this goes. And Tesla lawyers are definitely very busy. HP pilots a paper delivery service for instant ink subscribers. They're saying having to go buy paper is very painful for customers, says CEO. Let's just say the profit margins aren't. Last time I could check, I could get a case of paper, which I bought a case when I moved into the office here 3 years ago. I still have the majority of it left. Ordering paper is not difficult. The world is going to print fewer and fewer pages now. I agree. And a lot of it's digital. So achieving a greater share of all, as it is often referred to by tech execs, is a top of mind for print vendors. According to IDC, some 2.8 trillion pages were printed in 2020, down 14% year on year. The amount of printing in the office will be around 80% of what we were projecting to be before the pandemic. There's going to be an impact because with fewer people in the office, there will be fewer pages printed in the office. So, not surprising. Not surprising. I do as much as I can digitally now. Very rarely do I have to use like NDAs and that kind of stuff. I have to print and sign, but typically I only print the signature page and send that back to them. Amazon's going to let you try on digital versions of shoes that you want to buy. Amazon Thursday rolled a new virtual shopping tool with augmented reality technology to enable users to try on shoes before you buy them. You point at your feet and try the different shoes, and it shows you wearing the different shoes. It doesn't show if you got the size right. It's called Virtual Try-On Shoes, available for iOS users in the U.S. and Canada on the Amazon shopping app. 1,000 styles from New Balance, Adidas, Reebok, and Puma, not Nike. So you want to buy on Nike, you go to Nike.com. The FBI shut down a marketplace selling 24 million Social Security numbers. The website made about 19 million in revenue from selling SSN names and dates of birth. The SSN DOB marketplace was operated. So, working with local police in Cyprus and Latvia, the FBI, DOJ, and IRS executed seizure orders on June 7th against the domain associated with the SSN DOB marketplace. So, surprised it was only 24 million. I would think more SSNs would be available. Shield's healthcare hack may have exposed data for 2 million people. Shield's healthcare group, a Massachusetts-based company involved with imaging and health management services, has announced a major hack that could have exposed sensitive information, HIPAA, for up to 2 million people. The company learned of the attack on March 28th, and after its investigation, it found that a malicious actor had accessed some of its systems between March 7th and 20th. Crucially, the hack included sensitive information like SSNs, medical record information, patient IDs, and insurance details. The company claims there isn't any evidence of identity theft, but there's still a chance customers could be compromised down the line. Shields has said to contact the FBI as well as local and state regulators. According to the AP, the FBI isn't commenting on the attack yet. Moving forward, Shields said it will contact customers once it learns who was affected. Again, this happened back in March 28th. E3, the gaming conference, will return as a physical and online event for 2023. So we know it was canceled in 2022, changed to an online event only for 2021. For 2022, it was going to be online until Omicron variant forced ESA, so it was canceled entirely. So they're excited about coming back in 2023. Is there dates yet? No, there are not. I'm sure we'll hear more about it. AT&T has killed off the HBO Max bundle in its highest priced unlimited wireless plan. So they quietly dropped HBO Max's bundled perk for new AT&T customers on its top wireless plans. The company launched a new plan this week, which replaced Unlimited Elite. AT&T confirmed the new plan doesn't include the streaming service, but didn't provide a detailed explanation regarding its decision. The bundling of HBO Max with AT&T's wireless plan helped gain customers and convince existing customers to switch to the higher price plans. Now that Warner Bros. Discovery mega merger is closed, AT&T no longer owns HBO Max, therefore it has no motive to keep giving the customers the perk. Would make sense, right? Doesn't mean your cost of your service went down. All right. Last article for tonight. Revoking job offers, an extremely common cost-cutting strategy. And we know that Twitter's pulled the rug out of some people, and that there's a whole bunch of folks that are right now, who had job offers, are basically back looking for jobs. And rescinding job offers is better than layoffs, experts say, in a way to quickly reduce what is often tech companies' top operating cost, payroll. Absolutely. Twitter and Coinbase are paying severance to those whose job offers say rescinded. Wow. One product manager saw his $300,000 a year role at Coinbase vanish. Tells Axios he almost would have preferred a layoff. At least I would have Coinbase on my resume, he says. Now he's scrambling to get his old job back and get out of his agreement to rent a new apartment since he no longer needs to relocate. Wow. Wow, that's painful. So be careful out there while you're shopping jobs right now. Okay, be careful. Let me go over and see if we had any email come in. Nope, no new email since the last show. Hi, Jody. How are you? Thanks for watching. But that's going to wrap. That's going to wrap us up here. I want to thank you all for listening to the show. For those of you watching the show, thank you so much as well. Definitely keep me in your comments, or please send me your comments. My God, keep me in your comments. That's like keep me in your thoughts. Please send me your comments, geeknews@gmail.com, or flash me up on Twitter @geeknews. Lots going on there. So glad to be back in the regular swing of things next week. And all of our insiders, thank you very much for your ongoing contributions to the show. Lots happening and staying busy as always. And yes, I'm a year older. I had a birthday this past weekend. Don't feel a year older, but boy, sometimes it's a little harder to get out of bed in the morning. It just seems like the years are ticking away. That is for sure. But many of you commented on Facebook wishing me a happy birthday. Definitely appreciate that. But definitely take care of our sponsor at GoDaddy, geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And I definitely want to thank all of you again that are insiders. If you're not an insider, become one today. Support the show with your $2, $5, $10, $15, $20, or $25 monthly contribution, or do that one-time drop on PayPal. That's also appreciated as well. It's been my pleasure to bring you a show. I'll be back with you on Monday for another edition of the Geek News Central podcast. Everyone take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.